Welcome to the Canadian Beef Cattle Podcast, presented by the Beef Cattle Research Council. The most popular content from beefresearch.ca, available on the go. Before we get into this week's episode, a quick message from the BCRC.
Working with your veterinarian can help make the daunting task of understanding potential disease risks and developing an effective vaccination protocol easier. Vaccinating beef cattle is critical to safeguarding your herd and optimizing production and profit. Find a collection of practical vaccination resources and interactive calculators on beefresearch.ca or by clicking the link in the show notes. This episode is titled, Developing a Grazing Plan. Developing a grazing plan is an important first step to ensure effective grazing management on an operation, and it can help save a producer on their cost of production in the long run. A grazing plan that matches animal numbers to predicted forage yields is something that should be done prior to animal turnout. Within a grazing plan, there are several key steps that should be included. These include setting objectives and goals, resource inventory and evaluation, balancing forage supply and demand, cost benefit and risk assessment, implementation, monitoring, and finally, the plan update. Setting goals and objectives. A key step in developing a grazing plan is defining the goals and objectives for the entire grazing operation. This includes lifestyle choices such as how much time a producer may want to spend moving their livestock around each week, profitability measures, and biological outcomes such as forage production, soil health, animal performance, and ecosystem impacts, resource inventory, and evaluation. Completing an inventory and evaluating resources is crucial for developing and implementing a successful grazing system. This resource inventory can answer questions such as how much forage is available and at what times of the grazing season. Is the forage source able to meet the animal's required nutritional requirements? How long is the intended grazing season? What physical infrastructure is available or needed? How the forage supply and demand are balanced all ties back to the goals and objectives for the grazing management of that operation. Cost benefit and risk assessment. The cost benefit and risk assessment is the next step in developing a grazing plan. Effective grazing management on a pasture ensures high forage yield, sustainability, and animal health and productivity, all of which impact the cost of production. Completing a risk assessment in addition to looking at the cost benefits can help an operation improve its grazing management plan. Implementation. Implementation is the next stage in developing a grazing plan. There are several different grazing systems a producer may choose to implement due to variance in climate, plant species, soil, and livestock. These different grazing systems include but are not limited to rotational grazing, forward grazing, creep grazing, limit grazing, stockpile grazing, and extended grazing. Monitoring. After the grazing plan has been implemented, it is important to ensure the pasture is monitored to make sure the objectives and goals that the producer set up at the beginning of their grazing plan are met. Keeping accurate and up-to-date pasture records is vital to inform future grazing plans by providing information such as an accurate assessment of the carrying capacity of a pasture. Plan update. After monitoring the pasture, if the current plan did not meet the goals and objectives, it is important to consider updating the grazing plan to better aim for these goals next season. Grazing plans should be flexible to accommodate changing conditions, such as fluctuations in livestock numbers or drastic swings in precipitation.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. You can find all relevant links and information at beefresearch.ca or in the show notes. The Beef Cattle Research Council is funded by the Canadian Beef Cattle Checkoff and strives for excellence in the production of Canadian beef, cattle, and forage through research, innovation, and extension. Tune in every Tuesday as the Canadian Beef Cattle Podcast delivers straightforward insights, expert information, and a wealth of practical knowledge for Canadian beef producers. Subscribe now.